Hey everyone, I'm Carolyn. Welcome back to another episode of As I See It. And in case you got lost, this is my political channel. This is not my RV channel. And if you don't want to hear politics, turn the video off. I saw an article in the Washington Post yesterday that has been on my mind quite a bit. And I think it is a really good example of why men should not be making decisions about women's health, women's bodies, women's rights. So in case you missed it, the Washington Post had an article yesterday. Men rush to get vasectomies after the Roe ruling. And I read the article and then I read the comments, and so many people in the comments were cheering them on. Way to go. Way to stand up for women's rights. Way to, help us out. My question is, really? Really? So now you're taking responsibility for your part in getting women pregnant? Now that you might actually have to suffer the consequences of child support and raising a kid? Where were you before? Why was it okay before to risk getting a woman pregnant when all the responsibility, all the pain, all the anguish, all the tough decisions were put on her? One of the guys they quoted said, "Yeah, I knew," he's 27. I knew I never wanted kids. It's something I put on the back burner of my mind until recently with the Supreme Court decision. It's something I put on the back burner. How many women out there put the risk of pregnancy on the back burner of our lives? I've had issues with birth control my whole life. I couldn't be on the pill because it made me sick, like horrific, awful migraines. My body rejected an IUD. I had a lot of issues, and I tried to get my tubes tied more than once, and they refused me. So for me, the fear of pregnancy is not something I was able to ever put on the back burner as long as I was sexually active. This luxury of being able to put birth control on the back burner, wow, what a luxury. So he says this was basically the triggering factor for me. It pushed my mind to say, okay, I really don't want children, so I'm going to have a vasectomy now. And again, the point I want to make here is this is why men should not be allowed to make decisions for women. And this isn't, and I'm not just picking on men. I think this is human nature, that we can't really grasp the gravity or the importance or the experience of someone else until we experience it ourselves, until it becomes personal. I mean, sure, there are very empathetic people who are able to put themselves in other shoes, but I think generally it's a little bit of a human trait that we are not able to fully put ourselves, I guess, in another person's situation until we can empathize on some level in some way. So I'm not picking just on the men here who are 3 to 4 times the rate of normal going to seek vasectomies. This one urologist said he'd get 3 to 4 a week requests, or 4 to 5, and now he's getting up to 18 requests a week. 3 times the amount of men have finally just woken up and said, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I should do something so that I don't get a woman pregnant. And again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on men about this, but if you think about the history of the United States, you think about mostly white, old men making decisions for people of color, women of color, and all women. How can they possibly relate or empathize or understand or, on paper, it's one thing, but when you're actually able to understand the realities of the choices that you're making, then it becomes real. You can legislate all day long. You can write papers, you can pass bills and laws, but I think it's not a reality unless you're actually put in a position to make it a reality to you in your life personally. Does that make sense? And of course, when we're talking about rich white men, the reality for most of us, and especially women of color, who, by the way, are going to die. They're going to die. Women of color are much more likely to die in childbirth and in back alley abortions than white women. How are rich, elite white men ever able to grasp that on a human level? They can sit in their ivory towers and make laws all day long. They don't have to see the death, the blood, the ruined lives. And so this story really just kind of made me think about this. How people it's not a reality for many people until it becomes a reality in your life. Like other people's reality can't affect you until it becomes something that could affect your life. Does that make sense? So I'm not patting these men on the back. You should have done it before. I just find it fascinating that now that they might be the people who have to take responsibility for a pregnancy, because before it was all up to the woman, right? Hey, but sweetie, baby, whatever, one night stand or whatever. Hey, I got pregnant. Oh, well, what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do about it? I don't want anything to do with it. Go take care of it. The nice guys might be like, oh my gosh, can I go with you? Can I hold your hand if you're not going to keep it or whatever, right? But basically, this whole big group of men were perfectly okay with putting that entire responsibility, that entire choice on women. As if abortion is an easy thing, like going out and buying a new pair of shoes. You know what? I'm not going to get my vasectomy because if she can just get an abortion. So this is how I see it. Men should not be making decisions for women. Rich, elite, white, powerful men should not be making decisions for people of color because they're in their ivory towers. They can't possibly understand the real life effects of that. Sadie's playing with a bee. And I think this story in the Washington Post of all these men who are suddenly deciding, oh my gosh, I should get a vasectomy, I think is a perfect illustration of that fact that men should not be making decisions for women, and especially something as important as bodily autonomy and the right to control our lives. That's how I see it. Leave your thoughts below. I'll see you soon.